Let's listen to what he says next about hip hop and health.
I would tell you right now are sick, and I play the top songs in the rap chart. I would tell you my people are sick. If I go to the restaurants and opportunity zones and we look at the calorie rating and the cholesterol, I will tell you that my people are sick. If we look at the obesity rate, if you go to just a restaurant somewhere in middle America, Denny's or something, I went to Denny's the other day, you will see that my people are sick. And my people meaning all people, right? But Black people are very influential to all people. So, right, if the media picks a overweight Black woman and says this is body goals, then the media are influencing my people to stay sick. And it just so happens that that night I was so frustrated after 20 years that I had to call it out in one tweet, that now, even if I say, hey, okay, I was frustrated for these reasons, now it's not good enough. You've literally tried to make me re-apologize 10 times in this meeting, re-say this, re-say that, but it doesn't change the fact that my people are sick, and I'm the only person in my position that will say that my people are sick. Today, not 30 years ago, not 60 years, my people are sick today. 50% of my people's of deaths are abortion today. My people don't have the opportunities today, even to the point that because if JP Morgan had been nice to me and if Alex Klein, a STEM player, had been fair to me, different things, then I wouldn't even point it out that we don't have any Black, we have 2 Black engineers. So I have to have a responsibility, obviously, to all people, but specifically to my tribe, because tribes move. You know, tribalism is real with Black people. To separate the brightest from the tribe or to separate the leaders, it is factual that the CIA removed the leaders from the Black community, put crack in the communities, put guns in the communities, and locked up all the leaders and called them gang leaders, right? Locked up all the leaders, locked up all the fathers. Now, 72% of Black mothers are raising children by themselves. This is agenda like a Tuskegee experiment set on my people, right? And what I'm calling out for the Black people in entertainment is, what are we doing? We have to collude. And if we don't collude, because even if I said, hey, I'd like to make a company that's all Black, right? Is that okay for me to say? Is that okay for me to say? Or is that anti-Semitic? See, if I hadn't crossed the line so far, then that would have sounded anti-Semitic. Now I've stretched a bit. So now we can go to, okay, let's make an all Black company. But that would have been anti-Semitic. Just that concept, because you could word that in a different way that would sound anti-Semitic.
I don't know, man. I have to
listen, if I said I didn't want to have the Jewish people in the company, would that be anti-Semitic? It would sound like it, right? You'd say I'm from 1930s, right?
Yeah.
But for me as a tribe to say, no, I want an all Black company, right?
I'm generally against that kind of thing, but first of all, you have the right to do whatever the hell you want. This is America.
Well, what I'm saying is that's what I feel may need to happen for my people to have.
Yeah, so I just want to point out that as you said, he's making valid points, but at the same time, the question is, I'm trying to see he's making valuable points, but he's trying to use those points to
Validate?
support what he said, or to use it as a reason not to come down so hard on him because of his tweet. And yeah, I think that's what you were alluding to when you said that he's speaking some truths, but he's also speaking some things that are a bit wild. And you have to use your Kanye decoder. We have to use our Kanye decoder to try to understand what he's saying. But sometimes when he speaks, sometimes you say, okay, I can agree with this, I can agree with that. And then he makes he says something, and you're like, okay, I can't follow you. So I thought I was going
He,
the
he
direction you
turned
were
the wheel.
going, but then I
He yanks the
remember
steering wheel.
I had that, and I'm not comparing these two with one another. I just want to make that clear because the person I'm going to talk about now is, I consider Kanye a genius,
In
a
music,
musical
you said
genius
last
in
time.
music, a musical genius, yeah. And he's a bit, of course, all over the place, right? But the person I'm gonna make a comment about right now is also I don't regard him as a genius per se. Alex Jones.
What?
I don't I don't recall him as a genius. Okay. So let's get that out of the way. But he said, I remember the first time I got put on, let's say, on his content. This
Yeah.
was probably about 8 years ago. I started watching him, his content, and he also made like 2 3 good points, and then then he would go to, so for example, he would say the system is corrupt. You will say okay, and then he will say, and the corruption is due to the fact that you have a state, let's say a prosecutor who has ties with the senator and the lawmaker. I'm like, okay, you go look it up. Says, okay, it makes sense, yeah. And the laws of that state are antiquated because they're still based on a time where certain things were happening that shouldn't happen. And you go look it up, and you're like, okay. And after those 3 steps, he goes, and that's why the lizard people go do things.
Yo, that
And I'm
is.
like, whoa, that's so.
That is so true. That is so true.
And what I want to say is because I do. So, so, so I say that to say, so but just to finish that thoughts on Alex Jones, so we can continue. But he made, when you do that like 3 4 times at some point I will say, no, it's too far fetched for me. I don't claim to know everything. Let's get that out of the way. I do not.
But you knew some lizard people. No.
No, I don't know. I don't know everything. So I try to be as critical of everything, and I try to entertain thoughts without necessarily having to formulate an opinion. So if I don't know something, then I don't know. I think the universe is so big that could there be aliens in the galaxy or in the universe? Probability-wise, probably you would encounter. The chances are high, or there is a chance. I don't know how big or small, but that you will find life somewhere out there in the universe. But if we're talking about the corrupt system, and then you go to A, to B, to C, and jump to lizard people, then you lose me. So I get that. I don't get that as much as Kanye. So that's why I said I just use Alex Jones as an extreme, but I'm getting more or less the same impression here with Kanye, where he stacks 1, 2, and 3, and then he goes and says something where I'm like, you lost me again.
That happened to me multiple times during this interview. You're like, okay. What? What?
Yeah.
Let me go back.
Let me go
There
check
you go. You repeat the steps, and then you again say, "What is this?"
Yeah.